Hello, everybody, and welcome to the TARDIS Zone. This is the TARDIS Zone Talks, and we're here to talk about the Doctor Who merchandise. It seems that the merchandise for the recent two eras, as we know, we've actually highlighted this on the channel during the Chris Chibnall era. You know, you get all of this spin about the fact that the merch is doing well, so the show is doing well, and we know that's absolute rubbish. The show is not doing well because the merch is not doing well. Now, there was supposed to be, as we all know, because a lot of us covered this at the time, when the Star Beast was announced, there was a lot of excitement in the fandom over the fact that there was a possibility of getting a Beat the Meep plushie. And of course, it was actually, if I remember correctly, someone can correct me on this in the chat, but if I do remember correctly, they didn't they announce that there might be a chance of a Beat the Meep plushie? Well, we just found out that there's zero demand for a Beat the Meep plushie because they fouled up when they didn't, obviously, capitalize on the fact that the Star Beast was out and they didn't release a toy at the time, which I thought was very strange. I even said that at the time. Why don't they release, because it probably would have sold at the time of the episode. Even if people thought the episode was crap, they'd still go out, I reckon, and buy a Beat the Meep plushie toy. But we've seen this time and time again. Big Finish is struggling as well. If you remember last year, they released their financial accounts and they're not great. And people even tried to spin that. Listen, the merch for the last two eras especially has not sold. And if it wasn't for classic merch and the New Who era that's popular with fans, Doctor Who would not be making any money whatsoever. This is why they went to Disney in the first place, right? So all of these people that have been saying for years, oh, Doctor Who's doing fine and it's making a lot of money. Well, if it was making so much money, they wouldn't have to go to Disney in the first place, right? Cap in hand, looking for money, okay? So, when I hear people out there saying, oh, it's grand, the ratings are fine, Disney are happy with it, all of this, it's bullshit. It's bullshit, right? And again, some people have been doing digging on these writers that RTD has hired for season 2. And unfortunately, it looks like Pete Matigue, whatever the fuck you want to call him, apparently, and I've seen evidence, he's another activist writer. So Doctor Who season 2 is full of activist writers who have their own personal agendas. And this is not going to go well. And no merchandise, I'm being honest, by the rate this show is going, no merchandise will be made for this era. I know there's been a few bits and pieces, but there'll be no more bits of merchandise for this. Cinnamon, I did send you an email. So, if you want to come on, because you said you wanted to discuss this. So if you want to come on, you're more welcome. I did send an email. I also did invite someone else on. I'm just going to see now if they want to come on. So we'll see what happens here. We'll just give it a few minutes. You said you got no email. All right. Well, hold on. I'll send it again. I did definitely send it. So hold on. Could be in your spam. What are you doing? Put me in your spam. Anyway, hold on. I'll send it again. It's no big deal. There you go. I hope I did actually send you the fucking email and not someone else. Doesn't matter. There'll be nobody else coming on except the people that I have invited on. So you got to be careful nowadays. By the way, YouTube has been blocking some of your comments. So I've went in and sorted that out. So if anybody thinks I've been blocking your comments, I haven't. YouTube and Google have. So I'll put them up today. So if you made a comment on one of my videos, my little short videos or my music videos or anything like that, they're all up now. And thank you to everybody that has commented. Also, it's that time of the month again where we give out some free memberships, and I do have to get back to the membership side of it as well. As you know, I've been streaming a lot more frequently now, and I plan to continue to do that. So I'm going to gift 5 memberships now. So even if there's people not in the chat right now, it will gift 5 to whoever. So let's see who got one. So Cam's Crash Courses. Tim got another month membership there. The Time Scales was gifted one. Ventus Bruma, whoever that is, has been gifted a membership as well. That's only 4. Where's the 5th one? That's a bit weird. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's only 4. Who has the 5th one? Right. Well, the 5th person hasn't showed up on this, which is weird. But anyway, we'll keep going anyway. There's another 5 to give, so I'll wait until they go, and then we'll give the other 5 away shortly. So hopefully, if you're in the chat, hopefully some of you guys will get one. You know, it's a bit stupid. You can't pick the people that you want, to be quite honest with you. But that's YouTube for you. What can you do? But look, you know, the whole thing, the whole myth that this show has been successful over the last few years is gone. Listen, after Jody was regenerating, that was supposed to go to fade, right? That was it for the show, there and then. But RTD came along, and obviously we saw what happened. David Tennant ended up coming back for the so-called 60th anniversary. But this show has not been successful for a long time. And unless people in this fandom wise up to that fact and actually demand better from the people that are running this show, well, then you're going to continue to get the same shite over and over. The problem that you have is that Doctor Who's legacy is going to be dragged through the mud. Remember, this could be literally a dead horse and they'd still flog it. That's the sad thing about this. This is why I hope the Disney deal has collapsed, to be quite honest with you. And I don't care how certain people out there react to that comment. I'm just saying, for the sake of Doctor Who, it would be the best thing to happen if Disney did pull out. So we have to wait and see for the official announcements on them. Because remember, RTD has said that the show has not been commissioned for a 3rd season, and there isn't a 2025 Christmas special. So we have to wait and see when we get that official announcement. Now, there has been talks, and myself and Charlotte have actually talked about this on this channel, and you will all remember. I asked Charlotte the question, do you think that ratings for season 2 will play a part in the decision to commission a 3rd series? And we were speculating, and Charlotte said that would make sense. And I was saying the same thing as well. And by the way, that's what started this clown from attacking us again, because we were speculating. And then in the next video, I had to actually put a disclaimer up that we were speculating and we were talking about rumor and stuff like that, because someone out there in the fandom doesn't get it. Do you know what I mean? So we discussed this, and it would make logical sense, folks. It would make logical sense, right, for them to see how good or bad the ratings are going to be for the 2nd series before making any decision. And we also talked about, would the spin-off have any say in this? And you would probably think that it would, because if the main show is not successful and then the spin-off turns out not to be successful, then why would Disney, anybody with half a logical brain, would figure this out? Why would Disney pump money into a dead horse? They wouldn't. They wouldn't. I see Nicholas is in the chat. Welcome, Nicholas. Nice to see you. Cinnamon, did you get that email or what? Unless there's something going on with me email, let me know. But as I said, it all, Big Finish is. And here's the thing as well. I was saying it to the lads after the stream on Dance Channel, and we were talking about, the show and if the show did go off air. And I made the point to the lads that, remember the last time the show was off air, you had Big Finish to fall back on. Big Finish came along, Doctor Who magazine, that kept fans going. But look at Big Finish. Look at Big Finish now. Big Finish is just as bad as Doctor Who. And the Doctor Who magazine was struggling during the Whittaker era. I don't know if it's actually even fully recovered. He says he's backstage. No problem. Yeah, I just forgot that. I forgot to switch back over to the StreamYard view instead of the YouTube view, because I just want to be in the chat there just in case any trolls turn up. So let's bring him on anyway. He's going to give his opinion on the state of the show, the state of merchandise. Look at, I think, Gladiators is at the being commissioned again, right? Successful shows get commissioned straight away, right? Or it's pretty much nailed on that it's getting commissioned, right? Doctor Who is not nailed on because it's not doing well. And even BBC's own ratings prove that. Now, Disney and other people that shill for Disney are telling you that the ratings are okay. But if the ratings are okay, then why are they waiting to make a decision? Surely if this show is successful, they would announce it and scream it from the rooftops. But they're not doing that. They're not doing that. They're waiting to make a decision. So, Big Finish, Doctor Who magazine and merchandise has been struggling for years. And that proves alone that the show is struggling. You don't even need the ratings to back you up, right? Even though the ratings do show a decline, right? But the merchandise sales, that will show you and prove to you that this show is not successful. Stephen's in the chat. Welcome, Stephen. Stephen does be on that in Dan's chat. If you haven't catch the latest live stream that Dan did, I feature on that with Rabbi and a couple of other guests, Gary Akers, John, Rabbi, it was myself, Dan, and it was a great stream. We had a laugh. So if you haven't checked it out, go and check it out. We talk about Captain America. We talk about other stuff as well. And people seem to have enjoyed the stream. So that's on Dan's channel, the Spacebook on YouTube. So check it out. Yeah. So let's bring Cinnamon on, who's going to take part in this conversation now and give me his thoughts and feelings. And while he's giving me his thoughts and feelings, right, I'm going to go and check on me lovely country soup that I'm making with me vegetables and stuff like that. So I've got to add me pasta and stuff like that. So Cinnamon, we've obviously we're in the chat backstage, and we do talk about Doctor Who, and people do post stuff up, and we had some posts from the Thinking, I think it was, wasn't it, that highlighted the fact plushie from the Star Beast Beep the Meep. There's no demand for it now, and they did miss a trick, Cinnamon, didn't they? When this episode released, they should have actually released the plushie at the same time, in my opinion, or even capitalized on Christmas. What do you think? And what is your opinion on the current state of Doctor Who merchandise? Because I know you collect a bit of merchandise yourself, like other people do out there. So what's your views on this?
Well, yeah, like I say, I do collect the merchandise. I get the magazine every month. I get the figures where I can, and I agree with you. I don't know why it's took them the best part. I put in the comments there, but I think it was a couple of months ago it came on. But I don't know why it's took them the best part of nearly a year them to release the 15th Doctor figure. I again, maybe this is just my own sort of like sort of biased. Maybe I'm just remembering this wrong, but I'm almost certain. I'm pretty sure that when Matt Smith became the Doctor, I'm almost sure that we were getting the figures way before then. I remember getting there was a sort of regeneration figure. It was like a 2-pack thing, or maybe it wasn't. Oh no, that was another one. There was a little couple of sets they did for the end of time. You had like a sort of battered and bruised 10th Doctor. Then you had a Master figure. Then you had the Rassilon figure. And then you had the 11th Doctor regenerated, so it was 11th Doctor's face in the 10th Doctor's clothes. And I got all of them. I still have them. And then they released another set, which was like the 11th Doctor still in the 10th Doctor's clothes, but it was with the blue shirt. He took the jacket off, and it was a bit ripped and bruised and things like that and whatever. And then there was the new costume with his new, obviously his main costume for the season. And I just around that time, it must have been around here. I just remember it being released roughly around the time the season came out, maybe very shortly afterwards. So why, and I think it was literally only a couple of months ago that we got the figure for the 15th Doctor. I don't know why it's, I mean, I remember that podcast that Russell went on. I don't know what it was. I don't know what it's called, but he had a sort of picture of a prototype on his phone of the Beat the Me plushie, and he showed it to some guy who he was talking to. So it definitely existed at some point, a prototype. And again, at this point, like I saw someone say, what it'd be a bit, it wouldn't maybe not so much pointless, but it's like the moment's gone. It's been nearly a year since that episode's come out. I remember people at the time kind of vaguely wanting it, and I think I saw someone else say as well.
I would have bought it.
The fact that it was villain as well. I don't know if that would affect it, but I remember.
I said it to Cheryl. If it got released, I wouldn't mind getting a Beep the Meep plushie toy, even though, like, I thought the episode itself, I mean, it was okay, but it's not the worst thing that RTD wrote, I suppose. But then when the Doctor got a lecture and stuff, that's what put you off. But I would have bought one to have it, because Beep the Meep is an interesting character, and it would have been deadly to have a toy or a plushie of Beep the Meep. I'm not going to lie about that. Like, I'll be honest about that. But they did. They missed the trick. They should have released this at least a month before the episode dropped, or as soon as the episode dropped, maybe a day or two before. Release a trailer, and then say you can now buy your own Beep the Meep and all of this other stuff. But they didn't do that. And I want to ask you, though, do you think the reason why they did that was because the episode itself, when it did release, let's be honest, even though it's probably one of the best things that he's written, because if you look at all the other shite now, but it didn't get with all the hype that it got, Cinnamon, it didn't do as well as expected, even for a so-called 60th anniversary 3-parter. It didn't, you know what I mean? He had 3 stories as 60th anniversary, and it didn't do as well as it should for an anniversary story.
Yeah, I mean, I remember coming away from it, watching it, and generally coming away with it happy. But I would say that it was the weakest out of the 3 specials. I think it was worse than Wild Blue Yonder and The Giggle. I just remembered something else there. The Adipose, they had a little plushie.
Yeah.
My mum, who's not really a Doctor Who fan, she never really watched it, but she's obviously aware of it because I was obsessed with it as a kid. But even she used to find the Adipose cute. She loved them, and she's like, well, she's not even a normie. She's not a fan, but she knew them. So it's like, you could get like that sort of craze, because it's trying to sort of, again, it's sort of a problem at the minute. It's Doctor Who trying to do everything else. It's trying to catch on trends and crazes. Or, the Baby Yoda, all these cute characters that like a lot of typically female demographic who watch these shows, they obsess over these little cute characters and things like that, Baby Yoda or Baby Groot and things like that. And they thought Beat Meat would be the next one. And for one reason or another, when they say there's no demand, are they saying from the general public or from the suppliers, these
From the
companies that make them?
retailers, as far as from what I read of the Teen Kings post, and then I looked at the article, it's the retailers. There was no what's the word? There was no excitement for it, or demand is the word. Sorry, demand is the word. There was no demand for it from retailers. That's because the retailers know what impact the writers have had on this show. If anybody is buying Doctor Who merchandise now, right, you will get the Jodie lot that will still try buy her stuff and all of that. That's okay. Don't care about that. But most of the stuff that's being sold merchandise wise is Classic Who stuff. Classic Who stuff flies off the shelf. You even have these people on the internet that buy a shitload. What do they call them? There's a name for them, right? And they buy all of the stuff up and then they sell it for extortionate prices online.
There's a word. Oh, scalpers.
Scalpers, that's the word, right?
The same people who, like, when the PS5 came out, they bought like a bunch of.
When it comes to New Who, especially these current eras, you don't see scalpers getting involved. But when it comes to Classic Who, right? When it comes to Classic Who and classic merch, you got the scalpers all over it, right? Whether it's a TARDIS, whether it's a figure, whether it's a set, right? They will target that. They will buy a shitload of them and then they'll sell them at extortionate prices, right? You don't see that with the Chris Chibnall era. Actually, what you do see with the Chris Chibnall era, any merchandise that they did manage to get out there ended up in bargain bins. Loads of people have done videos online where they've shown they found, a Jodie figure or a screwdriver in bargain bins. That's where you'll find all of that stuff.
Really cheap, yeah, like a Graham or Yaz figure.
Yeah,
very cheap. I remember. I think even on Character Options website, where I think they usually can be a bit expensive on there. Even they were cheap. They were like bundling them. So if you got like something, you could get that with it as well, or like for like a small price. It's all nosedived. I mean, I'd say the most popular piece of merchandise that's coming out now are these Blu-ray collection sets that they've been doing for the classic series. Those are exactly like you've just described with scalpers. Some of these seasons are a lot more popular than others. I think if I'm just looking at them now, I think season 10, 12, 18, 19, I think they were very popular. The Peter Davison one, they were like, I was seeing them on upwards on eBay for like nearly 300 quid. So yeah, these are sort of immensely popular. I saw someone tag Dan, Facebook Type 40, the tag Dan in a tweet. I think there was a picture of Doctor Who Adventures, which is like Doctor Who magazine, but it was for kids really. Doctor Who magazine would have been typically more of your casual audience, your regular fan, your regular fan audience. But the Doctor Who Adventures sort of magazines, or like your sort of children's magazines, you might see in a corner shop. There's always those magazine sections for kids. It's a little magazine, and they did a Doctor Who one for kids, and I used to get those before I got Doctor Who magazine. I got Doctor Who Adventures, and it was quite cool. You get like a little pencil case on the front, you had little toys and things like that, and then they were cool. I always enjoyed them, but then I think maybe I stopped around. I think I stopped the subscription at some point, and they kept him going throughout the Capaldi. I didn't even know. I thought they kind of like stopped during the Capaldi year, but no, they kept going. But they did stop during the Whittaker era, and I'm not surprised because I looked at the picture of it earlier, and it was a very. I'm not sure. Again, this is the sort of problem that I don't think maybe Chibnall possibly, or even anyone higher ups didn't really care. But you look at the magazine of the Whittaker's ones, and it was very girly. I have to say, for an audience that wouldn't have, you got to think how a young boy is going to look at things. They're going to look at that, and there was literally girl power stickers. It was all very lots of like sort of bright yellows, lots of pinks. It wasn't a very sort of thing that would jump out for a young boy, I would say. Again, it was the direction there changed. They tried to get this again, the new audience, and yeah, it was I was quite surprised when I saw it, so I'm not surprised it got cancelled because it was just no one was buying them. Because of
Right, we have
course,
it.
Doctor Who for kids was
Yeah,
popular during the Tennant and Smith era, and it
yeah.
did dwindle.
Well, we have another guest joining us, and it's an absolute pleasure to have him on the channel. Obviously, unfortunately, he's been obviously a target as well of this Muppet that's out there. But as I said, we're here to talk about the merchandise, and I want to get his opinion. Very keen on what his opinion is on merchandise sales. But I want you all to give a big hand to Bobby D75. And for anybody that doesn't know, he's on X all the time and he shows up in the chat. How you, Bobby? How you doing, pal?
Hey, not too bad. Can you hear me?
We
good?
can.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. All right, good. Yeah. So it's interesting about the merchandise. I went to a gift store. What is it? Hallmark, the Hallmark gift store, right? And I picked up a Peter Capaldi ornament. And it's funny, they didn't have anything from Jodie, nothing from Shooty, but Peter Capaldi. So I found that interesting, you know.
That's the thing when people say that Jodie Whittaker's era was successful, it wasn't, because nothing was selling. The thing that was keeping Doctor Who afloat was the classic merchandise, and I don't care what anybody says. We actually showed evidence of that as well, because lots of us in the fandom have covered this over the years. And that's where you measure the success of Doctor Who. If it's not doing well in the ratings and the merchandise isn't selling, you can't go and tell everybody that the show is a huge success and everybody's behind it, because that's not the point. Oh, that's not the fact. The fact of the matter is, a success for Doctor Who is them not going cap to hand to Disney Plus in the first place. If the show was so successful, they'd be able to fund themselves. But they can't fund themselves anymore because BBC have no money. BBC Studios, is making money. But if it wasn't for Classic Who, they wouldn't, as I said, Doctor Who wouldn't be making any money. So there's not enough money being made by BBC Studios for them to fund Doctor Who by themselves. So that's why they had to go cap in hand to Disney. And it's sad, because if people woke up to the situation, then maybe we could make these people at BBC or whoever listen to why there are problems with the show. And if they listened, they could fix the show overnight. I know it'd be a hard sell to get fans back. I know that I'm not naive with the amount of damage that's done. But if they cleared house and they went back to basics, like I said, it might take them a few years to regain the trust of all of the fans out there. But if they start writing consistent stories on a consistent basis with great character development and, bringing it back to its roots, I think it has a chance. It'll never Bobby, though, it'll never reach the glory day. Listen, the Classic Who is unmatched, but the 50th anniversary, because Cinnamon brings this up as well, and he makes a good point. Around that time is when New Who was at its height and its powers, was during the 50th anniversary. And there was so much optimism in the fandom. We were proud to call ourselves Doctor Who fans with our chests out. It wasn't an embarrassment anymore.
I was still like
Doctor Who, but people were taking Doctor Who seriously.
Yeah, the 50th. Yeah.
I mean, go on, Bobby.
Oh, so the 50th was awesome. I was in the movie theater with some sci-fi geeks, and it was great, and you didn't have that with the 60th at all,
Go on, Cinnamon.
Yeah.
You were going to say something there.
Well, even when I went to the screenings for because if you remember, I even forgot this, but they showed the Shooty's finale at the cinema, didn't they? Or at least in the UK, I think they did. And the one I went to was fairly full, and I do believe they did relatively well, but there was certainly no buzz like there was with the 50th. It was. I didn't go to the cinema for that. I wish I did, but I was just a bit too young. I wasn't aware that it was a thing. I didn't know that they were in cinema. It must have been like 9, 10, 11. I don't know. I can't remember, but it was we're going back a bit. But I remember watching it, and you could just tell. I mean, really, I think the big golden era for New Who was around 2008, really 2009. That was when all the spin-off shows were at its height. But there was around 2013, there was a massive buzz. It was everywhere. There was big conventions. There was big publicity. The BBC One were talking about it. It was the whole throughout the whole occasion. It was one big sort of like festival almost. It was a big thing, and the 60th anniversary. You know, it was just nothing the same. It was just there was no buzz around it. It wasn't. Didn't have. It was just a lot of people thought it was tired. You know, it was, and I think a lot of people still think it's tired. I think a lot of people just think Russell is past it, to put it bluntly.
I see. Here's the thing. I used maybe Doctor Who is tired. Maybe it's not. Right. I'm not going to make an argument. I'm not going to say it is either way. Right. But the thing about it is, the biggest issue with this show over the last few years has been the writing and the people that have been in charge of the show. So we don't really know if interest for Doctor Who has gone completely away, because this is what I say: if they go back to basics and they get someone in, then we'll see if there's still an appetite for Doctor Who, right? But fans will argue that a lot of damage has been done, and I'm not going to disagree with that. Absolutely. And BBC would have to regain the trust of everybody out there that they've literally, told to suck it up and, this show isn't your show anymore and all this other nonsense gets thrown at you. But I think personally, if I were BBC, I'd give it one last go, right? But go back to basics and bring someone in that's not connected with Bad Wolf, never had any connection with RTD, never had any connection with Stephen Moffat. Bring in someone that actually knows sci-fi, right? And not a fan of the show, but someone that's aware of Doctor Who and knows what the show is all about, right? Don't bring any Daleks back. Don't bring any Cybermen back. Don't bring any old villains back. Don't even make any reference to Classic Who whatsoever, right? Or the previous eras. And just go from there and see what happens. And as I said, probably take a few years for the audiences, to trust you again. But we won't know truly if there's an appetite for Doctor Who still until these people are gone. And, we're in a sad situation here because there is no denying that this show's on its last legs. Merchandise isn't selling, right? You can't even get merchandise made for this era now. It looks like, retailers rejecting them. That's the biggest kick in the teeth you can actually get. Because remember, they go to the retail. I think people forget this. They go to the retailers, and the retailers are able to tell them Doctor Who was, what's popular, what's creating buzz, because fans will always go in and ask them, do you have this specific plushie? Oh, I heard them be doing it. Do you have a Beat the Meat plushie? All of this. So they would know because they deal with the public.
I think there's less spin when it comes, you can fiddle it and say, oh, it's top 4 in some bullshit category that you've made up. But when it comes to a business, and you're not going to invest loads of money in making a product that the company knows it isn't going to sell. So there's less spin, I think, on that front. So, there will be, that's why things like this happen. Otherwise, what's the alternative? They're going to make loads of Beat the Meat plushies that what might not sell, and then what do they do? Well, someone put it in the chat there. Oh, them Geordie dolls. Do you remember them? How many of those really did they sell? I can't imagine they were flying off the shelves. I can't imagine people were desperate. Again, a young boy, is he going to want a dolly?
Right, that's the thing. Retailers are in the business of making money, right? So they're not going to take something from a show that's not doing well. Why would they? They'd literally be hanging themselves out to dry at this stage, right? But this delusion, and it is a delusion, that this era of Doctor Who is fine, needs to stop. It's not fine. It's far from fine. If anything, I don't know if the panelists agree with me personally here, but my opinion is that this era is more damaging than the Jodie and Chris era. And I think with what's to come in season 2, especially with these activist writers, and be under no illusion, it seems to be that every single writer connected to this second series is an activist.
Oh,
This
yeah.
ain't getting any better. It's not getting any better. It's getting worse, right? People think Juno Dawson and all. Listen, they'll put the final nail in the coffin of this era of Doctor Who. Do you know what? We don't even. I'm getting to the stage where the longer Disney wait to make a decision, the more I'm convinced personally that this show is on its last legs. And the fans also, right, that keep defending this shit, at least some have woke up and they've started to realise that it is a pile of crap. But the rest of us that keep defending RTD and keep defending what's being done to this show, yous are just as much as responsible for the downfall of this show than the showrunners. Simple as that.
The messaging, right, and all these from the 60th onward has been ongoing. It's this pattern of bad behavior with the writing, you know?
I agree with you, Bobby.
Yeah.
I just stored me soup. I agree with you, Bobby. It has, and it's been nasty as well. That's the thing. The way they treat fans as well, they've been nasty over the last couple of years. Even Juno Dawson, when Juno Dawson was called out, look at the arrogance of these people, right? Try to make out you were a victim and then lied to people about being, being bullied off X and having to leave X by their own accord. But I showed you the evidence that this person was actually suspended for X. And then I showed you the post in relation to why they were suspended, and they were bullying a 13-year-old, right? So this mentality, this victimhood mentality, and I said it to people out there, and I directly addressed Juno, and I'll directly address you again. This victimhood mentality that you're playing is not going to roll in 2025. We are done with all these are victim playing when you don't get your own way. The bottom line is people don't like you for the kind of content that you put out there for 12 and 17-year-old, 12 onwards, right? These books that teach 12-year-olds things that they shouldn't be even taught, right? And you think it's okay, and you think people are going to be okay with you. Well, see, people on the left will be okay with you, but the rest of us that are normal and logical are not okay with you.
This is why I've been saying on other places, like, don't ever come at us again with your bullshit about Noel Clarke. Don't even bring that up, because if you're going to sit there and whine about Noel Clarke or John Barrowman or even Neil Gaiman, but yet you sat there clapping like a seal, wanting Juno Dawson to be future showrunner, squee, you little scrunch face. Don't come at me, because again, how you can sit there with a straight face and criticise the others that I've just mentioned, but then lap up Juno Dawson as his second comment of God, or it's just embarrassing. And just go answer your question earlier about commissioning a second series. Like I say, back in 2005, I'm almost sure that they commissioned series 2 and another Christmas special off the back of Rose, because I think they were estimating around 4 million maybe for the viewers, and they got more than they wanted. I think they got maybe around 7 or somewhere like that. So Rose did better than they thought it was going to do, and the BBC commissioned another series off the back of it, and that was after 1 episode. We're now going to be approaching Shooty's second season, and they're still unsure, because and like I said before, surely if we're going to get these episodes within maybe April, May, within the next couple of months, very soon, surely Disney will see those episodes before we will. It's not like they're going to watch them as we do. They obviously know. They're obviously in the know. They're obviously kept up to date. They'll know the episodes. So why do they need to wait? Why does it take until Shooty's second season?
That's what I mean. Because they probably
was the first season not enough? Do you know what I mean? Was the first season not enough?
Should have given me a heads up. You can come on there, PD. Yeah, come on, give your 2 cents on it. Sorry, pal. It was a fly off the wall stream. I'm sending you a link now, buddy. Come on, yeah. Add your 2 cents to this conversation. We love on. But look, it's logical to think that Disney are not happy. You wouldn't be waiting. If this show is successful, you wouldn't be waiting to commission. You're absolutely right. They've done it in the past where they've commissioned ahead. right? Even when RTD was leaving, they told us Stephen Moffat was coming in, and Stephen Moffat straight away then was plugging his. He released the logo. I remember. I think the first thing he released was the new Doctor Who logo, if I'm
Oh, was it
correct.
the next day?
Wrong on
It was
that.
it was the day after.
Logo he released almost straight a fucking way. So you are right. Listen, Disney are not happy with this. No matter what people say, they've probably seen season 2 and think it's shit, but they're hoping that the audience will like it, right? And that's why they're not making any decision now. And that's just me speculating logically on what Disney is thinking, right? Because if I were Disney, right, say I owned a Disney, right, and Doctor Who was doing poorly, I'm not pumping my money into a dead horse. I'm sorry, I'm not flogging a dead horse.
That's the difference between them, because they're paying.
Why would I waste millions of my money into a show that's doing poorly? No, it wouldn't make any sense. So they're right to wait. They're right to wait. If they are waiting to make a decision, they are absolutely right to wait. Because I would not be pumping any money into this shit that's given the name Doctor Who. Because let's be honest, it is shit, and it's in Doctor Who name only. This isn't Doctor Who. This is listen. The last two eras, or Chibnall and now RTD second era, they're not Doctor Who. They're just Doctor Who in name only. And the legacy of this show is being dragged through the mud. They've even done it again with this whole thing now, where they put up a picture that's some mad fucking picture, and they have a fucking what you call it, Tectoyun and fucking Sasha Dewan's master in a classic fucking thing. So again, RTD himself and others are still reinforcing this timeless children nonsense. So he's not getting rid of it, by the way. He's not getting rid of it. Any chances of him getting rid of it now are done. And I said this behind the scenes, and I said it in the chat as well. Cinnamon will back me up, and Bobby will back me up on this. I actually said, if he's bringing in all those activist writers, and then he probably knows that he's on his way out, and zero fucks are given. That's what I said. Zero fucks are given on his behalf. He doesn't care. If he knows that he's gone, and I'm not saying he is, but if he knows that the game is nearly up, well, then this would explain all the activist writers, and he's going out. In his head, he's going out with a bang, with a big fuck you to the fans, right? That's what I reckon. That's what I said.
It's a bit like sort of like setting the house on fire to hide the evidence kind of thing.
Well, if I can't have it, you can't have it attitude. Yeah.
It's like, in some ways, it's gotten better in some ways, but worse in others. So it's like, I would say, in my opinion, the quality of the scripts it's improved. It's not massively improved, but it's improved. I'm able to literally, when I sit down and watch them, I'm able to enjoy them more than the Geordie ones. But the agenda and the politics is probably even stronger than ever. Like, at least with the Geordie era, okay, it was woke and it was shit. But like now it's now it's slightly better and even more ramped up with the agenda. And again, you know, you'd have a season in like a season 11 where they were just bad writers. Whereas now it's like every writer is like deliberately handpicked for something. Like, you've got one who's like a sort of Hamas apologist, I think. You've got one who shouldn't even be there in the first place. How on earth they've even got the position to write for a show like this is beyond me. The other woman I don't even know. And then Pete McTeague, which you said earlier, he's got his own reasons now. It seems. So, where's it go from here? And as we've covered, certain people have gotten wrong. It's just season 15. There isn't a, as it stands, there isn't a 2025 Christmas special. It's not been confirmed. It's not been announced. Hasn't been ordered with it, so that automatically disproves someone's theory. We've got, as of right now, it seems that we've only got this season and the spin-off, the War Between the Land and the Sea. So and it depends on how many episodes that got.
Well, do you
So
know what? Who's in the team? Hold on. Do you know who's in the industry? Our panelist there, PD Rich. So let's get from his point of view, what state he thinks Doctor Who merchandise is in, and obviously the show itself. We'll start with merch because you're in the industry, so you will hear a lot of gossip.
Well, I'd say I'm on the outside of the industry, but yeah, I do.
Yeah, but you still hear a lot of gossip
industry.
because you do your theater work and stuff
Yeah.
like that, and you do
Yeah.
get taught.
I'm in the
industry.
entertainment industry, definitely, but not deep inside Bad Wolf or anything like that.
Yeah, I know that. I'm not claiming that you do, but you are privy to. You hear whispers in the grapevine and all of that shit. Obviously, if you work in the industry, you would. But what do you? They're saying that they beat the meat plushie. There's no demand. Retailers are saying there's no demand for it. And of course, we've all said, and we said at the time when the Star Beast was announced, and they did actually mention that there might be a beat the meat. There'll be merch from that.
Oh, he mentioned it all. No,
yeah, and Cinnamon has actually said that he actually showed the plushie, right?
Yeah.
But they didn't go ahead with it, right? And now apparently they try to generate interest in it again, and retailers have told them, no, we've no interest. There's no public interest out there for it. I just want to ask you, because we've covered this years on this channel about the merchandise, and we all know that Classic Who is what's keeping Doctor Who afloat. But can you tell me, why do you think people have rejected, the public have rejected, because that's what it is. It's a rejection of this so-called 60th anniversary. That was 3 episodes. That wasn't a 60th anniversary.
Yeah. Well, you just got to look at the 50th anniversary, mate. Really. To know just they didn't get the ratings at the 50th anniversary. That big long slug we had the 50th anniversary of Day of the Doctor, Time of the, which carried on to Time of the Doctor, and all the little tiny episodes, the Name of the Doctor, all revved up to it. I mean, there's just no interest. I mean, it was kind of killed off, damaged by Chris Chibnall because he never got the merch out. His merchandise was terrible because he couldn't be bothered. He was too busy watching football and making someone else do it, and it just died. And it just wasn't well received. Star Beast wasn't well received because they put too much LGBTQI, XYZ, ABCT star in it, if you know what I mean, being gay myself. And it's just like, it was an utter shite show, quite frankly. I mean, the only good episode
to shorten it, you could say the everything but straight group.
Yeah, the everything but straight group. That's what they are now, unless you're in America now, of course. Is Bobby, you're in the States.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm in the States, yeah.
Yeah, how is
Bobby? I want to actually. That's a good question. Bobby, I wanted to ask you, because you are from the States, and you be able to be a judge on this because you actually are from the States. What is the perceived perception of Doctor Who at the moment over there with the audiences, if there is an audience?
Well, I haven't heard too many people talk about it that I know, and you look on Flix Patrol on the episodes, right? They appear for a few days and then they disappeared. So if it was a hit show on Disney Plus, it'd be in the top 10 for weeks, like that Percy Jackson was. So it's not a runaway hit in America. Matt Smith years, of course, it was, but not.
Oh yeah,
no, not now. Yeah.
Yeah.
After all that hullabaloo about you see it on New York, the livery on the trains.
Oh yeah.
All the artwork on the subway stations. It is all that effort to try and capture. Madison Square was not Madison Square. It's where that the iconic bit in New York where all the big screens are. And you see that Shooty and Millie was stood in front of it, pointing at it. There was a trailer that was shown on the screen. All this effort to capture the American audience, and
I mean, another way of looking at it, looking at Cinnamon and Noel and Bobby. What happened to Star Trek when they started all this hullabaloo with the merchandise? That failed. Playmates aren't making the figures anymore because they're saying they're a failure. But round 2 are refusing to put out any more than like 1 or 2 models a year because they're just not selling. The new stuff.
It seems like, though, if I'm interpreting it right, there's going to be moves made, and Kurtzman is finally going to be out. It's the only way to save the Trek. Look, Trek, we discussed this behind the scenes as well, but I actually did pose this question on the panel when I was on Dan's channel.
Yeah, you did.
about each
Was
franchise. They talked
moderating.
in the worst state, and Doctor Who obviously overwhelmingly, because
Oh,
even
yeah.
though with Star Wars, you can fix Star Wars, and indeed you can still fix Star Trek, because Star Trek,
as
they
John
have their
said
own
with Star
individual
Wars,
shows,
yeah,
so you can actually put some into a kind of their own universe and then just carry on as normal. But with Doctor Who, they've actually meddled with
Oh,
the
they've gone too
canon, they've
far.
meddled with the character itself. Now we do know that Chris Chibnall's original plan, like I had discussed on this channel, was to make Joe Martin the First Doctor. And do you remember I actually got attacked for that? I actually got attacked for that from the, if I remember correctly, by the same person who's attacking me now. And I was right about that.
Yeah.
I was right about that. The first, and look, she's not the First Doctor. Don't care what anybody's.
That wouldn't have regenerated if she was the first.
Exactly.
Doctor.
Yeah.
He would have been dead. He wouldn't have no match.
Right, if you want to put out, listen, you know what I said this the other day. I can accept the Whittaker era and the RTD era if they put it in their own little fucking universe thing.
How about call them the toy maker doctors? You know, we have the Morbius doctors. How about the toy maker doctors? You know, so, there you go.
Right, and then
right,
I know this sounds stupid, right? But you've got the technology now. But bring Peter Capaldi back, right, to do his regeneration scene. Not the whole scene, but the part where he actually starts regenerating and then regenerate the new Doctor from him. Bob's your uncle. Move on.
You know, I'm not a Star Trek. I mean, I've got all. I'm gonna sort of make it my mission to finally watch Star Trek this year.
I'll start with Deep Space Nine.
I said to PD that I made these big plans. I was going to do it, but correct me if I'm wrong here. But like with Star Trek, each sort of like you got Next Generation, Deep Space Nine. You know, you've got these different seasons, but they're always a different crew, and like that's maybe like 6-7 seasons, and then they'll do another crew with another show, with a different name. Is it easier for them to say? Because I know they did recently, didn't they? They've basically come out and said Discovery is no longer canon. But is it easier for them to do that because you could just say, because there's no connective tissue. Like for example, we literally see Capaldi turn into Geordie, whereas when one show ends, it just ends, doesn't it? And then, like in a couple of seasons, in a couple of years' time, they'll bring up a new show with a new cast of characters.
But Next Generation and Deep Space Nine are connected because the very first episode of Deep Space Nine, Picard is in that episode handing Cisco his assignment, and then there's a bit of argy-bargy between the two because obviously Picard was Locutus and he lost his wife, Cisco did, so he blames Picard. So that's connected. Even Voyager is connected because at the start of Caretaker, they have this big scroll up where they tell you that the Marquis and the Cardassians are fighting each other and they're fighting in the Badlands. And then as a result of that, Voyager, then the newest ship, goes to the Badlands, and then it's taken halfway across the galaxy by this entity known as the Caretaker, and then they're in the Delta Quadrant. So it is connected because even Jordan Voyager, there's a character on it I won't mention, but she isn't as she seems to be, and there's a whole reveal there. But they are connected. That's the thing. They are connected, but they're done properly.
Even Enterprise is connected as well.
Yeah.
They're
connected, but they're done properly. But what they've done with Discovery and they've done with all of these other shows, Kurtzman has come in and tried to rewrite canon of certain things that happen throughout all of those shows, including the original series. Because again, they're problematic apparently, and he has to use Star Trek as a platform to push his beliefs and his ideology. That's what he said when he did that fan con and when everybody was locked down, and he came out and did that interview and he told fans, Star Trek fans, out straight, yes, I am using your show as a platform to push my bullshit. So they are all connected. But the thing about it is that the newest brand of Star Trek is separate because it's 25% different than the original, right? And they made that clear. So it clearly is, like, they haven't said it out straight. Now they've said it. Now they're slowly starting to say it, that it is in its own little bubble, right? Because they've realized now they fucked up. but they can put it in the bubble. That's why Star Trek can be saved.
That's what I was saying earlier. Is it easier for them to do that? Because
Yeah,
someone like
it
Doctor
is,
Who, because
because
people always
people
say,
then,
let's
they
just go
can
back
just,
to Capaldi and change it. I mean, they can't.
Yeah.
I wish we could, but like, obviously, they're never going to go back and rewrite, retitle. Oh no,
but here it is. But look,
Doctor
Portsmouth
Who.
Trek, but Portsmouth Trek and Bad Robot Trek by JJ, right? They're all in their own little bubble now. That's what they're trying to do now. They're trying to put them all in their own little bubble now, and it's a separate thing. It's a separate universe to the Prime universe. So they're starting to talk about that now, and it's the only way that's going to save that show anyway. They need to bring it. Listen, there were people that were originally brought in to do Trek, and they got rid of them. And these people worked on previous Trek shows before. Brian Fuller was one of them. Right, I've followed up on this because I was really, really looking forward to a new era of Star Trek after watching all my other favorite shows, and it's never lived up to the expectation. They just used the new Trek to bash old Trek and to change things like they've done with Doctor Who.
You bring Terry Matalas back, or they can't. Or he's busy, right? Doing something else now. Or
Marvel.
Yeah. Oh,
but
yes,
he did save the Legacy universe, Terry, though. And that's what I'm so proud of him doing that, and it always has my eternal gratitude, because Picard season 3 was set in the Legacy universe, not the Prime universe, because that's why Q appears at the end. That's the little message.
That's what I mean. But you make a good point there. But that's what I mean. That's where the correction was starting to happen.
Yeah.
Because the third series of Picard, it was made clear it was in the Prime universe. That's why they brought the old crew back.
On Legacy, yeah, Legacy. What it is the whole point of it is Q died, is dead in the Prime universe. He's not dead in the Legacy universe. That's why he appears at the end. Is it like an altered version of the Legacy universe?
They're all these people in charge of all these IPs, whether it be Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor.
Yeah.
For all this talk about moving forward and big, bold, and brave new shows, they're obsessed with the canon, aren't they?
I know.
Every opportunity they go back, whether it's younger Spock now being autistic, I think, as you've said before, or they're obsessed with, whether it be the time as child, or Ray, she can't just be her own character, she has to be related to Palpatine, and they have to change, the law around, the lightsaber crystals, and they, especially with Star Wars, because after Doctor Who, Star Wars would be my next of the IPs. That's what I'm most familiar with after Doctor Who. And all the old continuity is now put into Legends. And they made a big thing about it. Oh, yes, Star Killer and all things like that. That's all Legends. That's not canon.
Yeah.
And then, they've got their own...
my friend. Do you remember the big hoo-ha? Oh, we've got nothing to go on. Oh, Kathleen Kelly's got nothing to go on with Star Wars. We haven't... It's not like we've got like got like 50 years or 30 years of lore. Or she just disposed of in the gutter out back.
Books, comics. There's all sorts of things they could have adapted.
Yes.
If they really wanted to do it, they could have done it even... I mean, it might have been a bit controversial, but they could have even have done it like... They could have decanonized a comic, and again, that might have not been very popular, but like maybe a popular book, they could have said, right, this book's no longer... Well, it depends how they do it, if they do it properly, but they could have done it a bit like they did with the Star Beast. They took a comic and put it on the TV show. So now, for me, that kind of... In a way, I mean, it's personal opinion, I suppose, but for me, that would decanonize the book, or the comic, and then canonize the TV show because they've adapted it.
Canon.
PD.
Because otherwise, how could you have Tom Baker beat the Meep, and then 14th and have it like he's never met him before?
Just very university,
PD mentioned this at the time. I want to bring up this Stephen Braddock comment because PD brought it up at the time. I still can't believe BBC turned down J. Michael Straczynski. I can never say his name properly. Sorry.
We can't just say
who actually wanted to do Doctor Who. Oh, what would that have been like? Now I do remember PD when he came out and told everybody that you on stream, and you were actually saying you were actually giving out. You were like saying like the man wants to work on Doctor Who.
Give it to him.
Give it to him, and they didn't.
I know it's
that probably, if we analyse that now, PD, that probably has to be the biggest blunder. That beat
What a
the Chiefs.
different time that was, though. I mean, how different was
blunderous
it back then?
broadcasting
Everyone was
corporation, yeah.
optimistic. We didn't know who the new showrunner was going to be. We didn't know who the new doctor was going to be. We just, what a time that was. I mean, we still enjoyed it, weren't we? But we were actually kind of looking forward to it because we knew that was coming to a close. We knew they were leaving.
Yeah.
Who's going to be the new showrunner? Who's going to be the new doctor? And even when they did say, okay, it's Russell, okay, everyone got excited again because, okay, it's Russell. It's in safe hands. We'd already seen his previous body of work. If we'd known how differently it would be, how much of a changed man. But yeah, I mean, how simple the times were back then.
I know, mate. I know. It's just I have a feeling Russell and Chibnall were thick as thieves. I reckon they were in it together.
I think the three of them were, because Moffat has come back as well.
Yeah.
Look, the trade. This stinks, man. It stinks of this little fan club between the three of them.
Yeah.
Because remember, RTD has admitted that he even tried to get Chris Chibnall back to write an episode, but he was busy with a book. So
he was the first one he rang, wasn't it?
To actually bring Chibs back.
Oh, God. What is he, mad?
First phone call with Murray Gold, the second one.
Oh, imagine if we got one, right? You haven't announced it, but imagine if we get an episode with Chibs.
Big comedy gold. Jesus.
I would love it.
I would rather have Chris Chibnall as a writer than Gino Dawson. Swap Gino Dawson out and bring Chibnall back. I'd take that. It's a bit like choosing between diarrhea and like
vomiting. I think we all agree with that one. But
yeah, oh God, yeah. Chris Chibnall back. Oh my God. It'd be awful. Make Donald
this all highlights, PD, the fact that this show isn't successful, and that's why merchandise is not selling.
Exactly. You've just hit the nail on the head, mate.
You can't be successful if you want Chibnall back. That's how low we fall, isn't it?
Yeah. Mr. No Merchandise Chibnall, yeah. I do agree with plastic. Yeah, go on. No, sorry. Just had to get that in.
You have to come back for season 2. The meltdown will be absolutely glorious. Right.
Yeah. It's Dr. Joke now. It really is. It's just a bad joke, like Section 31. That was a bad joke. Oh, did you hear about that, Noel?
Yeah, Paramount, we were talking about it on Dan's channel, yeah.
Yeah, Paramount execs, John Yoland said, a good friend of mine, was saying, he says Paramount execs have scratched their head and wondering why Unification on Otoy, the Roddenberry archive, is doing better than Section 31. I'm like, do I need to get the flip chart out?
Who's the head honcho? Obviously, we know Bob Iger. We know certain names that run certain things. Who's running the show over there? Like, I don't mean show. I mean, who's the boss?
Yeah, whoever's in charge of CBS Studios, it will be the boss of that one. But the boss of the Roddenberry Foundation is actually J.J. Abrams now. Weirdly enough,
Bad robot.
Yeah, kind of. But he's kind of working in conjunction with Rod Roddenberry and a few other people, and Terry Metalis is on the board there as well. So it's weird, and a lot of the old guard are now on the board. I think because what happened is JJ realized he was losing a fortune in merchandising, and he lost his temper. I think his wife actually made put a lot of the DEI stuff into it, but she's now doubling back because he's losing money. It's weird. Really, it's weird.
If you want to laugh, just look at the comment on the screen.
Stop it. Stop.
I thought he was going to remember.
Right. Yeah, this was one of his rants, right? And he said he was going to buy Gallifrey base just to ban people that were bullies or whatever the crap he comes out. Listen, this time, there's zero chance of anybody like him buying Gallifrey base. And even if it did happen, which it won't, but even if it was to happen, he can't do the things that he said he's going to do to it because he'll lose people very quickly. As soon as they hear who owns it, nobody's going to be on Gallifrey base anymore.
I couldn't buy groceries off a shopping list.
They will probably set up a new forum and run with that one. to be quite honest. But don't even go there, man. That's the funniest thing I've heard from that chap these last couple of weeks, man. Yeah, go ahead.
God, yeah. Anyway, Cinnamon, we were saying
you should be worried about getting your teeth fixed, right? That's what you should be worried about.
God, mate, I've been through like 9.5 years of remission from cancer, and my teeth are wrecked, and mine look better than his. Jesus, it's like, what's he done?
Donuts.
Oh, too many. Yeah, look, they are addictive. I will admit that. I do like the custom ones.
Oh yeah, we got 12 of them ourselves a couple of weeks ago. See, we kind of go overboard when we decide we want to. We kind of go to one of those, the places where they do the fancy donuts.
Oh, the Dunkin' Donuts. What's you make?
Yeah, it's still there, but not those type better ones, right?
Then Krispy Kreme. Jesus Christ.
The proper donut places that don't do the mass, but they do little fucking different, limited edition donuts and all. You get red velvet donuts, you get chocolate donuts, apple donuts, stuff like that. But we always say we're only going to get like a couple each or something. We end up getting a box of fucking 12. So I do eat.
Does it work out better if you get more? It's like McDonald's, isn't it? You could get like 20 chicken nuggets for like $7.99, or you could get like 9 for like $3.99. You may as well just pay the £2 extra and get like an extra 10 off it. It works out cheaper to get more.
God, I remember like 15 years ago, Cinnamon. You get 50 for about £4.99.
No way.
That was like 10, 15 years ago though, before the bad times.
I like maple donuts, but you can't get them all the time.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, I like a good donut.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of I'm quite a big fan of American sports. I'm like a big basketball fan. I'm a hockey fan. I'm an American football fan, and they're obsessed with ad breaks, aren't they? The Americans.
Oh, yeah.
You've got to have food and Chipotle and what was the other one? Taco Bell, and they have this nice food, and I can't even get that.
Arby's. I keep seeing Arby's myself go.
Oh my god! The family
Arby's
guy
now do chicken sandwiches.
Yeah.
Best chicken sandwiches you'll get in the world.
Bojangles. Did you hear that one, Bobby? Bojangles?
No, I never heard that one. Sounds like a song. I know a song sounds like that.
I don't know. When I used to watch the Charlotte Hornets, they used to have like a little intermission thing come out. It's Bojangles. It's Bo time.
So, question for you, right? Before we finish up, I want to get you, the three of you, to answer this as well. If Doctor Who goes down, it's Curtin Pat. How long do you see Doctor Who continuing on screen, or do you think Disney will pull the plug at the end of season 2? I'll start with you first, Cinnamon.
It's a very, what's the word? It's not a loaded question. It's very, like, I'm confident that it's I'm confident something will happen, but I'm not confident what could happen after that, if that somehow makes sense. For example, I believe that the deal might end. So I'll probably possibly be wrong, but I don't care. I'll hold hands up if I'm wrong, because unlike some people, I'm not afraid to be wrong.
Well, you're speculating. You're not actually saying it's fact. You're speculating.
So I'm going to put a guess that it might end, and then if it does end, we'll have to possibly go back to being a BBC Studios program like it was before, or they'll have to find, against what I mean, but there's it's like a butterfly effect. There's multiple strands that could go down. There's multiple elements, but again, in a way, does dialing it back, because I remember they used to make these quotes, like I'm sure Russell used to say in like the magazine and stuff. Oh, if we have to go back to how it used to be, dark, gritty, tight stories. I'm like, well, wouldn't actually that probably would be preferable? Like maybe the deal ending wouldn't be such a bad thing.
Then you fucking swat. If you hadn't done that in the first place, we wouldn't be in the situation that we're in now.
I know. I'm a firm believer of a lot of these good stories, like stories like Blink, stories like Midnight. These stories were under constraint. But I don't think Midnight had a terribly small budget. But there was constraints there. There was episodes of the earlier run where the budget was tight. Like I think Father's Day, there wasn't too much on that one, I don't think. But yet you get these
No.
really good stories created out of like necessity, because yet you're sort of forced to be more creative. So in a way, maybe it wouldn't be such a terrible idea to go back to the way things used to work. This is what I mean. It's very open-ended. It's. I like to basically summarize it. I'd like to hope it is a positive future, but it's going down a dark. It's like Padme. It's going down a dark path I can't follow. It's getting harder and harder to enjoy this.
Yeah.
Bobby, what do you think?
I think that, it's looking like Disney might pull out, but we'll see. And if maybe the BBC will produce it itself. And Doctor Who doesn't need the big budgets. You know what I mean? Like, you look at Classic Who, it can work on a smaller budget. Unless, I don't know, BBC might try to go with another, what do you call it, a streaming service like Netflix or HBO Max, and you might get more, I don't know, grittier, interesting sci-fi. Maybe, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, it's interesting because Netflix is probably like the at the moment they've kind of dialed it back their nonsense. I think Netflix are kind of the best out of the bunch at the moment, aren't they? And there's previous as well. They had the series 1 to 10. From
But you know what baffles me? I'm forgetting something. I'm missing the whole point here, right? He's brought up Netflix, right? Okay, fair enough. We could go to Netflix, but you're forgetting the elephant in the room. Sony bought a stake in Bad Wolf Studios. It owns most of the stake in Bad Wolf Studios. It also owns, if I'm correct in saying, HBO Max. So, so why wouldn't it be going on? You know what I mean? So why everybody's talking about? I'm not saying it wouldn't go on Netflix, because Netflix had Doctor Who before they were rerunning the old series. But it doesn't. Something's not right here. Right? Yeah. Sony owns HBO Max. Doctor Who's looking for a new home if Disney have pulled out. It would be logical to think that the company that put the most stake in Russell T Davis's company, Bad Wolf Studios or Wolf Studios, would then use their streaming platform to promote the show. So the question you have to ask yourself is why aren't they doing that?
HBO Max is Warner Brothers, mate. That's why.
The BBC iPlayer should be its own streaming service, and never did it, right? They had the chance to.
Yeah, but doesn't Sony own? Did Sony not buy a stake? All these streaming services together anyway.
It might have a stake, but Warner Brothers is the parent company, and Warner Brothers Discovery is a parent company. Sorry, I'm just looking at the Wikipedia on it at the moment.
Right. So I am right and you're right.
Oh! I know why. Someone said it the other day. Sony decided instead of having their own streaming service, just to sell stuff to streaming services, but they could sell it. They could sell it to Max. Go back on Max.
I would rather HBO Max than Netflix, because if Netflix get their meddling hands on it.
Yeah.
Netflix are still doing woke shit, even though they do some good shit that they don't put woke in it. But they'll woke Doctor Who up. Of course they will.
I'd
rather be on HBO Max. They gave us the Justice League. They gave us Zack Snyder's Justice League, and in fairness, it was the platform that stuck their neck out to do that. So why not give Doctor Who a chance on it? And as someone said, Bobby, I think said there, they might go dark and gritty with it, or at least a little bit grittier than what they're going with it now. Because for me, I think it's too childlike. I mean. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's made for, let's be honest, it's made for fucking kids, and it's supposed to be a family show. RTD has completely lost the plot.
It's because he did Wizard versus Aliens. That's why he's in this Wizard versus Alien mode with it. It's like it's not Wizard.
It needs. I was watching. Actually, I make 2 quick points here. I was watching Dan's review of Father's Day. I mentioned it earlier, but I've watched that story multiple times.
Yeah, it's great stuff.
I've watched it so many times, and yet I found myself being surprised with it somehow, because Dan mentioned something about it, and I completely forgot about it. And it was when Rose says, when they sort of have a little argument, and he walks off and says, "All right, give me the TARDIS key then." Yeah. And she says, "I know you'll come back. I know how sad you are." And I thought, bloody hell, that's actually really deep. I know how sad you are. And I thought I completely forgot she even says that.
Yeah.
Until Dan mentioned it, and I thought, you know what? We don't get like dialogue like that now. We don't
No.
get confrontation. We don't get
No.
like she used that. I mean, she probably shouldn't. If that was a relationship, Rose knows how traumatic and war torn that doctor was, and how he was suffering from the PT. Not to throw labels around, but he was obviously traumatized after what he'd been through. So for her to weaponize that and be like, "Oh, I know sad you felt, I know depressed you are," sort of kind of way, so to speak. That route, I thought that bloody hell, that really got me. But bloody hell, like the dialogue back then was just real, whereas now it's like I don't know. It's like there's not much.
Soft.
There's not much. Just not dark anymore. It needs to
Soft
take
and
itself.
squidgy, yeah.
It needs to start taking itself seriously in every aspect of the word. It like in terms of literally like we need to be more serious. I think we need darker, grittier stories, which he says darker, grittier for season 2. But I mean,
Yeah, but Moffat did that with Series 8. Going, oh, it's going to be much darker and end up more whimsical. And I was like, Moffat, what are you doing? It's like
Yeah, he tried to make Peter's Doctor dark, but season 9 he course corrected because a lot of the younger fans didn't like Peter Capaldi anyway. There was a lot of ageism going on, people criticising the age of him and all. And remember, there was a few disgusting fans that actually accused Peter Capaldi of real nasty stuff. But just to remind you why we're actually on this live stream. So this is the Doctor Who 5.5 figure page and update is now being officially confirmed by Al Dewar via Power of 3 podcast with Kenny Smith that the Beat the Meat plushie would not be produced. Why it's not happening? Very little interest from retailers at the time of developing it. So it was in development stages, but there just wasn't. And he's actually shown some photographs as well.
Oh, yeah.
Also look at Beat the Meat's eye and hand there. So it was in development, but there was no interest. So again, to the people out there who shamelessly defend RTD and shamelessly defend the narrative that this show is hugely successful, take a long, hard look in your mirror, right? And look at yourself and repeat these words. I helped destroy Doctor Who. Okay? Look in the mirror and use those words. That's exactly what you have done. You have allowed the standards to drop so much that these lunatics can come in, bring their activist writers in, and pass that off as Doctor Who. Right? The bottom line is this. Unless there are serious changes with this show moving forward, we are going to continue to go down a downward spiral unless Disney pull the plug. And then we'll see if BBC can find. So, well, that apparently is the rumour now. They're out looking.
True.
Right? So we'll see if they can get someone. But if I were Netflix, right, or any other streaming platform, except for HBO Max, of course, why would you take the risk on Doctor Who if it's lost money for Disney and hasn't done well with Disney? I mean, Disney, let's be honest, is probably the biggest streaming service out there next to Netflix. Like, it's a big monster. And if it's not successful on Disney Plus, then how do you expect it to be successful anywhere else on any other streaming service? I don't think it will. What BBC need to do, as Bobby mentioned earlier on, if this show doesn't have the budget that it once had, right, and it's worked and it has to work on a tight budget, that's when I believe we get our best Doctor Who anyway, when it is on a tight budget, when they have to be creative and use their budget cleverly to create what they create. So I don't think it'd be a bad thing with it going back to BBC. And you know what? If I were BBC, I'd take one last risk with it. If it doesn't work, then end it. Just end it.
I mean, it may as well go back to the BBC anyway, because they're talking about, aren't they now, about making Netflix part of the BBC, like license fee or whatever it is. That's some nonsense about that. So
do you know what
might
the
make well.
that is, Cinnamon? They don't own the Netflix service. They don't own the internet. That's owned by BT. All the network connections are owned by BT. They don't own anything. So how the hell could that work? Because it's illegal. Technically, you're technically put a tax on Netflix and Disney Plus and the other streaming service. It's ridiculous. You don't own them.
Crazy. You know, that's Netflix. I mean, they took a chance on Rebel Moon, didn't they? And I don't know how well that worked out. But
that was a disaster, apparently.
Yeah, going back on HBO Max, even going on there makes sense because they have the older New Who episodes. So you're right, no, that makes sense, you know.
It would make sense to go to them rather than go to Netflix, but only time will tell. We don't know. As Cinnamon has rightly pointed out, there is no season 3 commissioned yet, and there is no Christmas special 2025 even commissioned. So no decision has been made as of yet. Now, nobody on this channel is saying that day may not possibly happen, right? What we're saying and what we've said from the very beginning is that when the person was out there saying that it was commissioned and there was a Christmas special filmed, that's not the case. It's come from the horse's mouth himself, RTD. He has said that the third season hasn't been commissioned and there is no 2025 Christmas special. And here's the last one is actually on that, the Christmas special. It is highly unlikely that even if season 3 was to be commissioned, there will be time to film a Christmas special in time for 2025.
Why not?
We would assume that the Christmas special wouldn't happen until 2026. What's your point on that? And PD, I'll start with you first.
Okay, do you know what? Dan told me this the other day. He says the problem is the Christmas special isn't the last episode of the current season. It's the first episode of the next season.
Yeah, that's how I've always looked at it.
It is.
I've always looked at it like that. Same with, I mean, look at the Christmas Invasion for starters. That literally set up season 2. The Christmas special always sets up the season that follows it.
Exactly.
So I would connect the Christmas Invasion as part of season 2. I would connect the Runaway Bride as part of season 3. I mean, hell, even The Voyage of the Damned, that had the same theme music. As she was going, the new rock theme for the intro. That was part of the that was part of season 4. End of time part 1. Okay, Christmas special part 2 with a New Year special, but that was gonna set up. Actually, that might be the only instance. The only time it's probably different is the specials. There's probably more to do with series 4 because it's sort of like a series 4 extended. But pretty much every special sets up the one before it. And I said this, and I think I said it on the group chat, and I think I said it here. And then, like a day or two after, Russell come out and said, like, no, Series 15 wasn't ordered with the Christmas special because the Church of Ruby Road sets up Series 1. Literally, like Church of Ruby Road literally ends. Space Babies literally picks up right after where Church of Ruby Road ends. With Ruby walking the TARDIS. I mean, you can't get more connected than that. And the same thing with this one. Joy to the World will set up season 2.
Oh, I know why. Because it was commissioned for 4 specials, not 3. So the first the Christmas special was actually the 4th episode of the last lot. Strangely enough, it was the same.
And I said it earlier as well. When we got Rose, they literally commissioned a whole another season and another Christmas special off the back of Rose doing well. So again, it's pretty much confirmed right there.
Well, remember, the Christmas special was also filmed in November, so a year and a month before they actually showed it as well. Joy to the World. So
if there was going to be a Christmas special this year, like 2025, they'd have to film it now, like right now, because I remember.
Or maybe the latest, maybe.
Waters of Mars. Waters of Mars. I think they were filming that around February 2009, and it came out in November. Yeah, if I'm recalling that correctly. So they'd literally have to start filming it now, probably.
Yeah, there will. And I'm only speculating here. I'm not saying it's true, but it's looking highly unlikely that we're getting a Christmas special for 2020.
Pretty much,
right? Because as you all have rightly pointed out, they'd want to be filming right now. And as we know, Wolf Studios did briefly open up because they were doing some, photography and stuff that's probably in relation to Series 2 and the spin-off. But it's going to close back down. And we've also seen that Bad Wolf Studios are renting themselves out as well. So it is, again, I'm only speculating here, but it would be logical to assume that we're not getting a Christmas special in 2025 because they would have to be literally filming now.
I said, I don't know how long it takes to make an episode. I don't know how long it long the post production takes. But I just remember
6
them
months.
filming. Roughly, it takes a while. And I remember saying
6 months, but they're doing a whole series at the same time. If you know what I mean, there's all different parts of the post production company doing.
So
different
BBC. Well, here's the thing. Here's the kicker, right? If that is the case, and we're only talking logically here and speculating, but if that is the case, then Doctor Who has lost the Christmas special slot, or that has lost the Christmas slot yet again.
Yep. Pretty much. Afraid to say.
There you go. So, for a year maybe, if the show continues, of course. But you see, all of this leads us all to believe, if we were thinking about it logically, that it's not going well.
No.
It's not going well.
anything past May, almost 99% never. Because I think just now it's just all coming back to me. I'm pretty sure Waters of Mars has been filmed around January, February.
Yep.
Possibly March, and I think maybe the end of time was maybe April, May.
Yeah.
Very sort of springtime.
It's about 6 weeks, I think, for production.
So yeah, anything past June, if it gets to summer, then
forget it, right?
You can.
It's still not impossible for them to do it. I mean, it'd be rushed. It'd be rushed, but they'd have to be doing it in the next couple of weeks. You know what I mean? To reach the deadline, and then to then edit it together, put the music to it, all of that. So it's not impossible, but it's coming highly improbable. Is that the word? Yeah, that it's going to happen, to be quite honest with you, if you think about it from the point of view that we have been doing. And by the way, the YouTuber out there, just in case you have a nosebleed, we're speculating here. Okay, so know the difference between speculation and actually.
You just have to look at the 60th, don't you? The film's that in, I think, in July 2022, and we didn't get that until November, December 23. And I can't remember when Ruby Road was filmed. I'd have to check, but it did take a while. So, like I say, they'd have to really start filming it in the next couple of months.
Exactly.
If anything past the summer, then you got no chance. You just. Again, I'm not an expert, but it's
because they like to release autumn, don't they? Hey Dan, they like to release.
Oh, there's Dan. There's Dan.
Hello, Dan.
Nice to see you pop in the chat, mate. Love to see it. I have to say, I've really enjoyed. I just want to say, while he is here, I've really enjoyed the couple of streams that he's brought me on. We have had a laugh behind the scenes as well, which is always great. But the streams themselves have been brilliant, and I've enjoyed being part of it. So thank you for having me on. I really do appreciate it. And again, just in front of everybody here, I just want to thank you for having me back all of these years as well, because I know you've had me back. Yeah, people have told me plenty of times that you've had me back, but I just want to say thank you, because I know you've defended me channel as well, because I know I have a bit of a rep out there, and as I said, I think behind the scenes to you, I think it's an unfair rep that I have, but what can you do about it? But thank you, mate. I really appreciate you bringing me on. I do actually enjoy when we talk about different stuff. It's not restricted just to Doctor Who, but that was a laugh. That actually behind the scenes was not behind the scenes. We had some laugh, though. I will say that. Of course, what happens behind the scenes and stream stays behind the scenes. That's
I'm guessing what you're saying behind the scenes. No, I'm guessing.
An unwritten rule. We do have a laugh. We do have a laugh, and I'm proud to know you, Noel. I'm proud to know you, man. You're that, and as I said to you, I'm gonna say it again. You do fantastic work on your YouTube channel. You've built it up to what it is, and it's absolutely fantastic to see you have the success that you have. Because you deserve it, because you put in the hard graft, and you try and accommodate everybody, and that's what I like about you. You do, you might have your own thoughts and opinions on things, but you're not going to have a go at anybody or dismiss anybody that has opposite opinions to you, and that's what's good about you. So keep up the good work, mate. Keep up the good work, and we'll keep rolling on, hopefully. Just wanted to add, while you're here, if you want to give your opinion on, you don't have to talk about anything, but your personal opinion on the future of Doctor Who. Do you think it'll go past the second series? Let me know what you actually think. I genuinely love to hear the other views. Exactly. That's it. That's it. That's the way everybody should be. Unfortunately, it's not always the case, is it?
Yeah,
But,
true.
yeah, we'll see if he has that to say about Doctor Who. But lads, look, before I wrap up, because I'm going to wrap up now shortly. I mean, back to the merch side of it. Look, I bought a bit. I've bought some merches. I've seen. I've done videos on it. I haven't bought merch since the Peter Capaldi era. Right.
God, when was the last one merch?
No.
Oh, I remember what I bought. I bought the free Doctor, free what's his name, Eighth Doctors. I did the line of free. That's the last thing I ever bought.
Yeah,
Oh,
any
I get
merch I got after that was sent to me by
Send it to you, really.
sent to me by Peter from Australia or whatever. But the last bit of merch that I actually bought myself was at the end of Peter Capaldi's era. I picked up a few classic and a few new Who bits and pieces, but that was it. And I'll never buy another bit of merch while the show continues to go down the route that it's going down. And I think there's a lot of people in the chat, and you guys on the panel will probably agree. Why would we waste their money on something that there's even the stuff that we love? It's getting harder. I don't know about you guys, but it's getting harder for me to kind of like, even if it is classic, should I pick it up? Should I give them a penny? Sort of thing.
It depends on whether you're going to enjoy it. It's the same thing with Big Finish. I look at Big Finish. I'm sure Dan and probably Rob are the same. It's gone are the days where you sort of like have to be a completionist. It's sort of sort of buy what you think you're gonna like, and you sort of have to like. It's not really the best way, because you sort of like, you don't want to have to sit there and worry like, oh, am I gonna like it? And like having to sort of like, oh, listen to a friend, maybe give you, is it safe to check it out kind of aspect. You just want to be able to like dive in really, but we can't do that. I even you see there, Dan is pretty much saying what I was sort of saying maybe a bit earlier. I do think it will continue, and it seems he does too. But in what format? Will it go back to, whether it does get commissioned for that third season, whether it doesn't? I still think it will continue, but in what way that looks like? Again, there's like I said, butterfly effect. There's different routes it could go down. How is it going to continue going forward? I believe it will, but again, in what way? That remains to be seen, doesn't it?
And that's the point, though, and that's the point I've been trying to make to this other fella. Nobody is saying that the show was cancelled. You said it was renewed, and it wasn't. And that's the point of all of this. But this is why you've had a nosebleed, because I called you and said it isn't commissioned, and it hasn't been. And RTD has backed that up, and other streamers have backed that up. And this is why all of this is happening in the first place. You can't accept the fact that you lied, right? But I have said this on this channel. It could continue on BBC with a lower budget. It could continue with Netflix. It could continue with anybody, but it depends if there's an appetite for it as well. Think about it. If the Disney Plus deal does fall through, why would any other streaming service want to pick it up if the biggest one of them all has rejected it? Right? So if it does survive, I think personally it'll go back to the BBC and they'll do it with a smaller budget. But nobody has ever said that Doctor Who is cancelled. You're the one that's been going around with the narrative telling people that we're saying it is cancelled, when we're saying no, you lied when you said that the show was commissioned. It hasn't been commissioned as of yet. And all I've ever said is wait until an official announcement before start, spreading.
I think what that person needs to realise is that there's a stark difference between being wrong and lying. If I said right now I've got information that it's gonna be cancelled. I've got information that Russell T Davies is going to be sacked. I've got information they're filming right now. If that's just a flower, there's a difference between. Thank you, Ted. There's a difference between having wrong information and then holding your hand up and saying, "Okay, yeah, I got that one wrong." I think that's what you need to realise. We're not lying. We're not deliberately saying, "All right, this is going to happen." We're just speculating. We're just giving an estimated, hopefully educated guess of. We look back of, like I was saying, we look back, of when previous episodes have been filmed, and we make a general educated guess on,
That's
vaguely
it.
on whether they're going to
That's
come
all
out or
we do.
not.
One of our channels, though, we get all the information that's available, and then we speculate on what we think might happen. Right? I have said that the best thing for the show would for it to be cancelled. I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go and say I didn't say that. Yeah, I think for the best to save the show any further damage, I think personally it should be cancelled. But I'm not saying it is cancelled. I said it could survive. And I also said that if they went back to basics, it might take them a few years to regain that audience or to get the audience trust back. But if they were to do things right, word of mouth in this Doctor Who fandom is very powerful, and we know that, right? So if they start producing good stories again, people are going to start talking about it. And people do, listen, yous all know this. Yous are still listening to me, even though Doctor Who's been shit for these last few years. You've been listening to Dan. You've been listening to Rabbi and others out there, right? So even when the show hasn't been successful, you guys have been listening to us and watching us, right? So if we start watching Doctor Who and it starts improving, we're telling you it's improving. Of course, that's going to have an impact.
Of course, yeah.
It's going to have an impact. So
wildfire.
I want Doctor Who to succeed. It's all I've ever wanted, right? But all we've gotten over the past 2 eras, I'm sorry to say, is bullshit. It's Doctor Who in name only, and you're not going to convince me or other fans out there that this is Doctor Who. It will never be Doctor Who.
You don't get the full package anymore, do you? It's not like before where you'd get like a majority of a good season or you get one dudder. Like now it's the opposite for me. Like I know me and Dan quite like Space Babies. I loved Boom. And then you get something like Rogue, and then you get something like Dot and Bubble. And then you get something like, you get a first, the Legend, the 2-part finale. You get a good first part, and then the second part just falls apart. And what it did to Sutek and
Sutek did the dog, the dog,
but not even that. The explanation of the Ruby's mother and the fact that if she's just a normal woman from Coventry who's a nurse, then why did she wear a big mysterious cloak? Then why did she point to the sign for dramatic cinematic value?
What's all this with the snow?
Why did she do this? Why did the snow? Like again, are you really trying to tell us that because Ruby attributed value to her mother, that now gives the universe supernatural powers? Is that where the snow comes from? Because that was that's what you wanted to do, wasn't it? You wanted to be clever and sort of like say in the sort of like Unleashed, like we give value to things that are like mundane or that are perhaps normal, and that's, I guess that's where the snow comes from, because Ruby attributed value to her mother, and Sutek was desperate to know what that was, or something like that. Things just happen now, and it's not given much logical.
Again,
it doesn't have to be realistic.
There was a 5-year plan for Doctor Who, and it's gone to the wall. And we all discussed the 5-year plan. We know that Disney had a 5-year plan. So when they made the big announcement, do you remember? So we all know that there was a 5-year plan. What I've been trying to tell this other guy is that plans can change. Things can happen in the industry that throw that plan out the fucking window. That doesn't necessarily mean that everything is gone. And this is the point that I've been trying to make. Nobody is saying that the show is cancelled. No decision has been made on it yet, but a decision will have to be made on it because, as you said, there was originally a 5-year plan. So things have been, bought and paid for. Stuff like the last time under Chips, bought and paid for, and they have to find a way of figuring it out. So if they find that way and Doctor Who survives in some form, absolutely fantastic. If it's not with RTD, if it is with RTD, then forget about it. You're basically wasting money and pissing against the wind, right? He needs to go. We need to go back to basics. Whether they do that or not is another proposition altogether. But look, this is a conversation that could go on for forever, right? And I suppose we'll do another stream on it very soon, because I want to see if I can get other guests on with these lads as well. And first of all, Bobby, thank you for coming on. I really do appreciate it. And of course, if you want to join that next panel as well, you're more than welcome. Cinnamon, as usual, thank you for joining me. And PD, of course. PD will hopefully roll the decks out now and start putting in the links, and I'll get everybody around now to push their social medias or whatever else you want to start. So I'll start with a new guest. Guest Bobby D.
Yeah, so you can see me on Bobby D75 on X, and I'm just going to plug that for now.
Fantastic.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
that's what you're here
Yeah.
for, yeah. Love
Yeah.
that. So Bobby D on X there, 70. Go and check him out. He's funny. Man. Seriously, man. He's given that fella some stick as well, which is always lovely to see. Cinnamon.
Yeah, I like that song you tweeted at me, the little om nom, whatever it was.
Oh,
The kids.
that's yeah.
Yeah, that was an interesting viewing. But yeah, you can find me under the same name, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, on YouTube and on X. Do all sorts of content. I think I've try and diversify it a bit more, try and bring a bit more Doctor Who into it. But there's also gaming videos of all sorts. So yeah, it's a bit of everything channel really. But I'm going to try and bring back my streams that I used to do. I used to do a little Crunch cast. I think I did like 4 of them, but I'm going to try and do that again because there's just so many things I want to talk about, and they're giving us endless content to they're not shy on giving us things to criticize. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And you can catch me here on the Tarda Zone. Obviously, as I've seen, I'm quite more active than I was before. Go and check out my little videos as well. Yeah, go and check them out because they're quite funny. I also did some songs as well, which have rubbed him up the wrong way, but that was the point after he threatened me. I mean, he plays the victim. You're going to threaten me, I'm going to take the piss out of you. Simple as that. So go and check them out as well. Oh, by the way, for the people that have been supporting the songs, thank you. But I just want to make one thing clear before I leave here while everybody is here. Okay? For the last few years, right, I have buried the hatchet with this fella for the sake of everybody in the fandom, because people have come to me now, will you just let it lie, right? Now, this is a guy that has criticised my wife, criticised me, has brought people on who shamed my wife, okay, and bullied my wife. And every time I've been the bigger person and I've buried the hatchet for the sake of the fandom, yeah? I just want to make it clear to anybody out there that's saying, no, drop it, leave it, all of this. I'm not dropping it and I'm not leaving it because this guy has been doing this for so long, right, that someone has to hold him to account. So as I said, the bottom line is this. If you don't want any interaction with him whatsoever, I'd advise to block. I am not stopping until he snaps, until he breaks. Because the bottom line is I'm sick of his bullshit now. I'm sick of him attacking people that I know, people that I respect, right? When all he has done is put out misinformation. So I just want to make it clear here tonight that I'm not backing off. I'm not backing down, okay? And I'm not going to bury the hatchet for the sake of burying the hatchet, because what will happen is he'll start again. If this show continues in a couple of years' time, if there's a new era, he will start again. And I am not going to wait until the next time he starts again. So, he threatened to sue me. He threatened me with physical violence, right? And he's threatened me with I made all sorts of weird accusations about me using people with autism to do my dirty work when I've clearly done it myself, and he's blocked me because he's a coward. So I want to make it clear here today, if anybody doesn't want to see any of the stuff or the content, you don't have to watch it, ignore it, but watch me other content, obviously like this. But I'm not stopping until he stops. And when he stops, I will stop, right? The bottom line is, as far as I'm concerned, he owes everybody a big apology, but we'll never get it. But I'm not going to stop, okay? I've backed down too many times with this man, and I've done it for people. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm sorry if that hurts you, but I'm not doing it anymore, right? This man is going to know that there are consequences for his actions, right? He talks about this Whovian war. He put up a post. So he's absolutely admitting that him and his friends back in the day bullied other people in the Doctor Who fandom that they didn't agree with. So this is, by the way, as I said, he has previous form, right, with other people. And I am not going to allow him to think that he can bully me or other people into submission. He's not going to win this, right? And I hope you are listening, right? You weren't going to win this in any shape or form, right? You are right? You call me a loser and you call me all these other names. Stop projecting, okay? Because that's exactly what you're doing. You're projecting, right? And the fact that you're 50 odd years of age and you have a childlike mentality, right? Talking about the adventure is still going, all of this Hoovian war. Like, grow the
Like
fuck
childish
Over a long
playground
time
stuff,
ago.
isn't
Like,
it?
are you 12 or are you a 50-year-old man? Right? So I just wanted to end the stream with that because I don't want you thinking, that I'm going to stop. I ain't going to stop. I told you I wasn't going to stop. That's why you blocked me on X, because you can't handle me, right? And you still shit talking me behind your block wall. Shit talk me all you want. I'll keep responding until you stop, right? I'm not done with you, right? So you can make all the threats you want about taking down my channel, taking names and all of this. You could do whatever the fuck you like, right? As long as you keep talking about me, right, and keep shit talking my friends, I'm going to continue to do the same thing, Donut Man. Now go and have a donut, cry into your bowl of cornflakes or whatever it is, and grow the fuck up, right? Because you do need to grow up. Everybody else in this fandom has grown up and matured. You're still acting like a 12-year-old. Anyway, with that said, I hope you all understand now why I can't back down. This man has done so much damage to me personally anyway, with the stuff that he said about my wife and stuff that he said about me over the years. So I'm not burying the hatchet this time for the sake of peace. There will be no peace until he gives up. End of story. Anyway, with that said, I want to thank all of my guests. PD has been putting the links in. I'm going to give PD the last word to give his shout outs as well.
Okay.
PD. So if there's anybody you want to promote, go ahead before we head off.
Okay, then you'll find me in Rabbi on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. I'm always in his chat, keeping an eye, unless I'm working. I'm up there. And after on Saturday, we're over at the Space Book with good old Dan in a chat, doing his show, his new show, which I think is brilliant. I love being on Dan's show. Well, I love being in a chat of Dan's show.
It's brilliant. It is. It is a good
Right,
little show that he does. So yeah, that's where I stand on all of this. Okay, so I don't want people coming at me in my chat saying no, leave it. I'm not leaving it, and I'm letting you know I'm not leaving it. He's not going to get away with this again because he's gotten away with it far too many times. And by the way, that post about the Hoovians war, I'm going to show you in a little video as well. Okay, see the mentality of this fella. But this fella has absolutely admitted in this post by putting up and by the way, he has a Star Wars picture, right, with all their faces on it, right? So I'm going to show you the picture because he put it up on a public platform. And I'm going to show you. And this man is absolutely admitting that him and his friends went after people that he didn't agree with because there was a so-called Hoovian war back in the day, right? So that's the mentality that we're dealing with, right? It's a war. Everything is a war. I'm a loser. He's bigger than me and all of this other shit. I'm not talking like that. Listen, Joe, you keep using that stuff because you think it attacks me. I wouldn't give a shit if one person was watching me. I've said it plenty of times. I don't have an ego. I know where I sit in this Doctor Who fandom, mate. You have grandeurs of fucking being this lord of the manor, but you're not. But you're not. Hardly anybody watches you. You say I've no friends. Here's all my friends here today with me on the panel. I've got friends in the fucking chat. Right? Nobody's abandoned me like you've claimed as well. Right? Everybody's abandoned you. You're the one that's alone. You're the one that has one or two people that maybe come on with you, right? That's all you have. And you hardly have an audience and you're coming after me. And I don't care that you don't have an audience or whatever. I don't care what videos you do. But when you start coming after people and making the disgusting accusations that you've made, by the way, about people with autism, I mean, that just goes again. I've said it time and time again. You go for the most vulnerable people in this fandom, and your biggest mistake was thinking that I was vulnerable and I was just gonna bow down to the great Matrix Lord or whatever you think of yourself, right? You've messed with the wrong person. I said this time and time again, right? And I'm gonna say it again. You've messed with the wrong person. You really want this. Don't talk about Hoovian wars and talking about doing something about me. Do something. Come over here on a plane like you said you were going to do. Box the face off me like you said you were going to do. Okay? I'll wait here at Dublin Airport for you. Get on a plane. Apparently you have plenty of money. You can't get your teeth fixed, but you can get on a plane. So get on that plane. I'll meet you outside Dublin Airport. You think I'm afraid of you? You think people are going to bow down to you in this fandom? No more, my friend. No more. As long as I'm around, right? As long as I'm around, you will not be getting away with what you got away with for years. End of story. With that, I will leave it there, guys. I want to thank you all for supporting me during all of this as well, because I know it can be hard for some of you because this has happened in the past. But I want to say thank you for all the support that I've gotten privately and publicly. It's meant the fucking world to me, because I know you all know what this guy is like. And as I said, I could easily just let it go, but he brought me wife back into it again, and that's a no-no. Nobody says anything about my wife, right? Nobody. I protect my fucking wife, right? And he's not getting away with it, right? Anyway, see
It's
you
also,
later.
sorry, just to squeeze this very last point in.
Go on.
I can already shut that rumor about you preying on autistic people, because I can categorically say for a fact that you've not groomed me or manipulated me or Jack. You know, you've all come on of our own volition.
Ted.
We've all come on our own mind. You know, I speak my mind. I'm not encouraged. I'm not, you know, Noel doesn't threaten me behind the scenes. He doesn't say, right, you need to stick to the script
Not
when
at
you
all.
come in the stream, okay? You know, I'll give him the 20 quid afterwards. But, you know, I come on my own choice. I'm my own person.
Even Gobby, and I'll say this, me and Gobby had a bit of a falling out ages ago. It's forgotten about. It's on water
In the past,
bridge.
yeah.
We were mature fucking adults and we were able to sort out whatever. But this was one of the main reasons that Gobby didn't want to have anything to do with me then at the time when the channel was very toxic, was because I kept going after Joe. And he's at the right in there. I used to tell you to walk away, right? But people that used to tell me to walk away are actually backing me up now this time, because they could see it. So, Gabby, again, thank you for coming in here and showing your support, because, again, it means the world to me. You don't realise that this support gives me the strength to do what I'm doing. He's not getting away with it anymore. He's a bully, he's a liar, and I'll call him out for what he is. And if he has a problem with that, then all you have to do, mate, simple solution, shut your fucking mouth about me and my friends, and then I won't say anything about you, right? I won't say anything about you. And you can put out your crappy rumours from Gallifrey Base, and good luck with trying to buy Gallifrey Base as well, because that's not going to happen. But do whatever you want, right? But leave my name out of it. Leave other people's names out of it that you've brought in, right? Because it's not going to work this time, right? You tried it with Tharis, you tried it with Mr. TARDIS, and you tried to get Dr. Freedom involved, right? And they didn't take the bait. And neither did I, because I knew you, by mentioning them, you wanted me to call those three lads out. But I'm not calling those three lads out, because those three lads have done nothing. You're dragging them into this. So I have no reason to have any problem with them. Do you know what? One thing I'll say about Tharis, and if he is listening, yeah, he said that he was going to quit this feud that he had with me. And you know what? He fucking did. Yeah, there was a few slip-ups here and there at the start, right? But then after that, he hasn't fucking spoke to me or had any interaction with me in fucking ages. And that just goes to show you how he matured and was able to fucking move on. You're still acting the same way the very first time that I fucking met you. Everybody else, as I said, has grown up in this fandom, right? And has moved on from all of this bullshit. And you're still living in the fucking past. Hoovian wars, this, that, and the other, right? And the fact that you admitted that you and your friends, you know, bullied people for not agreeing with just goes to show everything that I've said about you is absolutely spot on. You are a bully, you are a liar, you pick on the most vulnerable in this fandom, but unfortunately for you, you picked on the wrong motherfucker, because I ain't backing down, right? When you call me a loser, let me tell you one thing. Right, you said I'm a disgrace to me people. Let me tell you one thing. When I do pass away and I die, I will have the tricolour on my fucking coffin. and Irish nationalists will be carrying my coffin, right?
True.
Okay, when I die, I will leave a legacy because I fought for my fucking country, and people recognise that through artwork. And you have seen the artwork, and there's another painter that actually wants to do a painting of me, which I find all hard to get me head around because that's not what I'm in it for. I'm in it to save my country and its people. But I'm appreciated by people out there. So when you say I'm a disgrace to my people, no, I'm not. I'm a fucking hero in their eyes. And that's not me being big-headed or having an ego. I've had people come up to shake my hand and tell me what I'm doing for the country is absolutely amazing. I've had people hug me, right? I've had points bought for me, free points, cups, anywhere I go, I'm welcomed anywhere in this country. So that's the difference between me and you. Your legacy will be computer games and eating donuts and talking about water. That's your legacy. My legacy will be completely different. My legacy will be long lasting. So don't come at me with your bullshit, right? Because I know who I am, but you clearly don't know who you are. And it's time for you, my friend, to grow up. Your issue and your problem is, as I said earlier on, nobody in their lives ever told you no. And that's why you act the way you act today, right? Because nobody told you no when you were growing up. They probably all said yes, 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 right? But I grew up with structure. I grew up with people telling me no, telling me I was wrong. You probably didn't have that, by the way you're behaving. So don't come at me. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me. Bobby, thanks, you're a legend. I hope to see you soon.
Yeah.
Cinnamon, you're a fucking legend as well. Thank you for coming on. And anytime I do, as I said, I'll get you two regular guys on again. We start doing our regular streams every Tuesday. Wasn't it Tuesdays or Wednesdays? Whenever it was, we did it. But we'll be doing our regular streams. And PD, of course, who not only comes on here, but keeps an eye on the chat, keeps everybody safe in the chat as well, and does me little easy little Rolodex as well. So thank you.
Doing my civic duty, my friend.
No problem. And again, Gob, another guy that I actually have huge respect for because he's doing what I'm doing, and he knows what effort it takes to do what we do in our countries and to stand up against the establishment. So I want to give a special shout out to Gobster Talks About Things as well. And if you do if you are into your politics, of course, you can check Gobster out on his channel, Gobster Talks About Things. And you can also check me out on my other channel, The Irish Zone, Get It Off Your Chest. That's the one that's active. So if you want to go and check out the world of politics, that's where you will see us, okay? And go and check out Gobster's channel, as I said. Anyway, guys, I'll talk to you all very soon. Let me see. Hold on now. Yeah, and the Spacebook said, welcome, Bobby. Yeah, it's nice to have Bobby on. I just said I'd ask him today. I didn't think he'd come on because it was short notice. So I want to actually say that as well. He come on with some short notice, guys. So thank you for that, Bobby, again. I really do appreciate you giving your 2 cents today.
Oh, you're welcome. No, remember, I think it was a couple of years ago we were talking about that Jody episode with John Barrowman in it. Remember that? That was a while ago.
Oh, yeah. He was locked up in the prison. I forget the name of that. See? You forget the names.
Yeah.
I can name every single New Who episode up to Peter Capaldi. After that, my brain has just gone. I can remember a few titles, but I don't know if they're in order.
Revolution.
Right. Yeah.
I do know the first one was the woman who fell to earth.
Right.
Well, I don't know if it was Orphan 55 next. I think that was the third episode, but I can't think what the second episode was.
That was the next season. Yeah. Oh, let's go through it quickly. Yeah. The woman who fell to earth, Space Ghost Monument, Space Museum, Ghost Monument, the Rosa, Arachnids in the UK. The St Andrew Conundrum, the Demons of the Punjab.
Demons of the Punjab.
Which one was number 7? Was it Kablam number 7 or was it number 8?
Kablam was the fucking Amazon one, wasn't it? Amazon.
Yeah, that was either 7 or 8. And then you had the what is it? You had the one with the dad that was painted.
Oh, the frog.
Yeah, the frog.
On the chair, yeah.
yeah.
I think
What
09.
was that called again? Cat, no, now you see, no, now you see.
Face your way.
I know the Rasco Afkolos, the terrible like one draft. He really written it
Oh,
in
that one, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like one draft of it and
Wow.
threw it out. Oh
Timber
God,
back on it.
I'm missing one. I can't remember. There's like 8 or 9. There's
Then
Well,
there's
definitely.
resolution, isn't there? Which is of the
Well, if you think about a holder for the next stream, because I'm going to end there now, but go and check out Gobster's channel and all the other channels that have featured in the chat there, and go and give them your support. But look, just as I said, go show you the state of Doctor Who now that we can't even, like, it's a struggle, whereas it's not a struggle the other way. But thanks anyway. I'll leave it there. And I'll talk to you very soon, as I said, because I'm still doing my little videos and I'm still doing me songs. So if you want to check out me songs, you never know, I might do a couple of more diss tracks just to piss them off, you know. And I'm only doing it to piss you off, by the way, because I know you've been using the narrative, oh, look, he's having a meltdown. I'm not having a meltdown at all, mate. I'm actually having a laugh at your expense, and it's funny to see your reaction every time I do one.
Yeah, we're all in tears, aren't we?
Listen, I haven't even given you my best, right? All it's taken is for me to respond to your delusions, right, and your false accusations, and to throw up a few songs, and you've
Witchfinders. That was it. I forgot Witchfinders.
Oh yes.
right. Oh yeah, well, the one that we were all hoping that Jodie Whittaker's doctor was drowned. Yeah, I remember that. Anyway, on that note, we'll leave it there, and yeah. Oh my God, Doctor Who is in an awful state. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
It's this one first. I always get the trailers confused. It's supposed to be the TARDIS Talks one first and then the main one. But I've been doing the opposite the last few streams. So I'm going to correct that now. Here we go.